Welcome to the Money Hour with Tina Mitchell. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC. The views expressed by the speakers on the following program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 28th show. I am your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. My goal is to keep you up to date on the latest news and trends in our local economy. Keep me tuned in and I will keep you informed. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but I'm here to answer you any questions or connect you with amazing guests that I have in studio today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And my lineup for studio today, Devi Adaya, the spiritual entrepreneur podcasting on purpose. Also, the next guest in studio, Morgan Oakes with 7 Oaks, creating your maximum impact, keys to clarity, courageous living, and inspired action. And last guest in studio, Mark Petticord with Success Mentor. Is franchising a good fit for you? Great information and great guests in studio today. For more information on any topics discussed, again, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And of course, like always, let's start out with a little money chat.
Money.
Today, I thought I'd first start out with talking to all of my seller listeners about pricing your home right. In today's market, we're in demand of outpacing supply in many regions of the country. Pricing a house is one of the biggest challenges a real estate professional faces. Sellers often want to price their home higher than recommended, especially in a market like we're in today, and many agents go along with the idea to keep their clients happy. However, the best agents realize that telling the homeowner the truth is more important than getting the seller to like them. There is no later. Sellers sometimes think if the home doesn't sell for price, I can always just lower it later. However, research proves that homes that experience a listing price reduction sit on the market for much longer, ultimately selling for less than similar homes. A seller who prices high in the beginning and then lowers the price, most of the time it's going to take longer to sell and they're going to leave with less net profit in their pocket. Additionally, the I'll lower the price later approach can paint a negative image in the buyer's minds. Each time a price reduction occurs, buyers can naturally think something must be wrong with that house. Then when the buyer does make an offer, they lowball the price because the seller is highly motivated. Pricing it for right from the start eliminates all of these challenges. You do not want to build a negotiating room into your price, as the plan will not serve you well. Many sellers say that they want to price their home high in order to have negotiating room, but that will actually does the opposite and lowers the number of the potential buyers that see the house. And eliminating demand like this will negatively impact the sales price of your home. Not sure about this? Think of it this way. When a buyer is looking for a home online, as they always do, they put the desired price range in. So let's say if a seller is looking to sell their house at $400,000, but list at $425,000 to build that negotiating room, any potential buyers that search in the $350,000 to $400,000 range won't even know that your listing is available, let alone come see it. So what about the comparisons online of that home that is priced at $425,000? How does your home compare when it's should be priced at $400,000. A better strategy would be price it properly, maybe even a little bit lower than market from the beginning and bring in multiple offers. This focuses these buyers to compete against each other for the right to price on your home. Now look at it this way. If you only receive one offer, you're set up in the adversarial position against the prospective buyer. If, however, you have multiple offers, you have 2 or more buyers fighting to please you, and in this market, you can actually have 5, 10, 20 buyers, which will result in a better selling situation. So the price is right. Great pricing comes down to the truly understanding the real estate dynamics in your neighborhood. Look for an agent that will time and simply explain exactly where you need to price that home. You need an agent that will tell you what they need to do rather than what you want to hear. It's critically important to make sure that you price your home right right, even in a market like today when we know that there's lack of inventory, there's a lot of buyers. If you don't price it right, it can be devastating to your bottom line. So do things the right way the first time, maximize your dollars. Now, if I'm talking to any of my buyers out there listening, this actually can be helpful for you as well, because here's what I would encourage for you to do. Do what the majority do, not the majority do. Do what the minority might do, not the majority. So what I mean by that is take a look at these homes that are overpriced. So if you see a home when you're looking at online properties and you notice that the house, when you look at the pictures, isn't comparable to, in a good way, to the other homes that you're looking, go take a look at those homes, because guaranteed the majority aren't. They're deleting those properties, which means they're not getting any buyers. Where does that put you? It puts you in a great offer, a great position to be ahead of the seller's position. So you might actually get a really great deal on that property. And that is my money chat for you today. Coming up next, do you want to know how to do a podcast with purpose? Well, my next guest, Devi Adaya, the spiritual entrepreneur, is going to be talking with us today right here at 1150 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Do you have a message or mission that you want to share with the world, but you just don't know how to get it on a global scale? If so, podcasting could be the perfect solution for you. Podcasting can help you easily establish yourself as an expert in your field, gain access to leaders in your industry that can help you to scale your business, develop a deep and loyal relationship with your ideal clients, share your message with the world with just the push of a button, and attract quality leads into your business. Devi Adaya created the Podcast on Purpose Online Academy to help you go from show idea to syndicated podcasts in as little as 6 short weeks. Devi's Podcast on Purpose Online Academy walks you through every step of the process, from choosing your title, format, and artwork, all the way through to syndication on all major podcasting platforms. If you're looking to create your own global delivery system for your most important messaging with your most loyal listeners and potential clients, podcasting is for you. To learn more about how you can create your own syndicated podcast around your brand and message, visit podcastonpurpose.com. It is your time to podcast on purpose.
Hi, this is Devi Adaya, and I would love to support you with your soul-based business and helping you get your message out into the world. If you'd like to work with me, I'd love to work with you. Go ahead and contact me at deviadaya.com. You can find me there. Or if you're interested in creating a podcast specifically, go to podcastonpurpose.com. And as always, I would love to share my week with you at spiritualentrepreneur.com. It's your time to podcast on purpose.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 28th show. I am committed to providing you knowledge needed to be successful in every area regarding your finances. Knowledge is power, and that's what you'll receive from listening to my show. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call into the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or just go online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio right now, my first guest, Devi Adaya, spiritual entrepreneur, podcasting on purpose. Devi, it's so exciting because you had me on your show. Thank you very much for that. And now we get to have a little exchange and have you in studio here with me, and just really excited. This show is called The Money Hour because it's about money. It's about making money, saving money, having a better quality for you and your family. And a lot of my listeners are in the business arena. And so if you want to be able to set yourself aside from your competitors and you want to do something fun, give back to the community and all that great stuff that we get to do as host, podcast is actually a really great way to go. And that's what Devi does. She coaches around it. She's got her own, obviously, amazing show. So Devi, thank you so much for coming into studio.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here, Tina. I am so delighted to be here and to get this time with your listeners as well.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And a little bit about Devi before we get started. Again, spiritual entrepreneur. Devi is a host of her successful Spiritual Entrepreneur podcast and is the creator of the podcast On Purpose Online Academy. Devi is a seasoned speaker, podcaster, and spiritual business coach and strategic consultant for spiritual entrepreneurs, CEOs, creatives, and thought leaders wanting to make a difference in the world through sharing their unique message and gifts. Devi's earlier career started as a high-tech in Silicon Valley, working as a senior manager for Oracle Corporation. She was later trained by and worked for Anthony Robbins companies as a result coach and has been on the entrepreneurial path since the year 2000. She is an author of a children's book, What Feelings Do You Feel?, which helps highly sensitive children recognize their own feelings, and has a musical single out called Higher Ground. Debbie is passionate about helping you to utilize your unique signature talents to create a business and lifestyle that you love and serve humanity with the voice of your soul. Makes me want to just tear up a little bit, Debbie. That is just a beautiful bio. And, you know, I know you as a person, and you're a beautiful person, and you're here in Seattle, came all of this way. I'm sure you had other things on your calendar outside of just the show here, but I'm very happy to have you live and face-to-face. So thanks again. So Debbie, let's go ahead and start out. What do you mean when you say that you're passionate about helping people to serve humanity with the voice of their soul?
Yeah, that's really my calling in life. I feel like each one of us comes here into this world, in this time, in this body, in this place, with a unique set of signature gifts that we've been given, and that humanity is really waiting for us to fully align with those gifts and own them and share them. And one of the things that I love to do is to help people to recognize those gifts and to fully express those gifts in a profitable business, in a podcast, from the stage, wherever it is that they're wanting to share that. So the voice of their soul really is the voice of their soul, that unique mix, that signature person that they're here to be.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I know when you work on anything that we work on as a person, it's going to serve us well in every aspect of our life, business and personal. So how do you suggest a person identify their show topic?
So one of the great ways to pick your show topic is to think about the thing that you would do if you didn't have a podcast. So what is the one thing that you love to talk about all the time, the things that you're studying all the time, the places that you go and what it's around? What's that topic for you that really lights up your heart and soul? And then turn that into a podcast. And ideally, if you're creating a business around that, that's going to make that a profitable venture for you over time. But it's also going to be something that just lights you up from the inside that you're really passionate about. So that's what I suggest, is find that one thing. You may have 5 if you're creative like me. You may have like
a handful.
Books and songs and real estate, right? We have all these different things that we love. And just start with one, and the one that feels the most resonant with you, the one that really calls to you the most. You can make a list of them and just pick that one and start there.
And I think if you start with that one, everything else, because I know everything that you do as well as I do, and Morgan, our next guest, which is another close friend of both of ours, that we do one thing, but the one thing that we do is connected to everything that we do. So it seems like we do a bunch of stuff, but really it's all attached to our core. So Debbie, why would you choose podcasting versus video or maybe just blogging?
That's a great question. So here's the thing. When it comes to watching a video or reading a blog, you can't really do much else while you're doing it. So while video is becoming really popular, it requires 100% of the attention of the person that's watching it versus, say, like this radio show or a podcast where you can be in the day-to-day life of someone. So they take you with them into their day-to-day experience. You're at the gym with them. You're in their home with them. You're in the car with them. You're basically creating a really deep relationship with whoever your ideal listener is in their day-to-day life. And if you think about the duration of most videos, they're like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 20, 30, because people just can't give you all their attention for that amount of time. But with podcasting, people listen 20, 30, 60 minutes.
Wow.
And 85% of all of the people who listen to podcasts actually listen to almost all of the episodes. So you're getting a lot of connected time with them. So it's a really great vehicle for delivering your message and sharing the voice of your soul.
Love that. Well, I hope my hour show, people listen to my entire hour show. Who knows? But so Debbie, what is one of the most favorite time savers? Because you know how I am about time and productivity. Tools for podcasting.
Yes, you are. And I love that about you. So one of my favorite things that I've done with my podcast, it took a lot of time early on to schedule guests. So I would find that I'd be going back and forth and getting the information and trying to get everyone calendared, or there might be a change. So what I did is I picked a day. That is the day that I do my recording. And I set a set time and I put an automated scheduler together. So I use Acuity Scheduling. I started off with Calendly. And so Acuity Scheduling, I basically created an automated link that I send out to my guests when they're going to schedule, and it asks for everything that I need for the show. It asks for their bio. It asks for their headshot. It asks for their Skype username, which is how I connect with them for the podcast. So I have all of that information in one place in my calendar.
Love it.
And the system handles it, and it's saved me hours every week.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Debbie, thank you for sharing that. And anything that you're doing related to get it efficient and put a system together so you don't have to worry about it, because I think that's probably one of the biggest concerns that people would have. It's like, well, first of all, just, oh my gosh, I'm going to do a podcast. But then, oh my gosh, all that stuff I have to do to have a podcast. But you can really set it up to where it's a one and done. So amazing. So what do you believe is the number one key success for a podcaster?
The number one key that I would say to success in podcasting or business in general is consistency.
Yeah.
And when you make it a consistent every week, like if you're going to do a weekly show or if you do a monthly show, you set your time when you're going to be delivering your show and you show up because your listeners count on you. I'm sure that your listeners for this radio show love when your episodes are coming out and they count on you. And if one day they go, maybe they're having a rough week and they need some money support, right? They want to know that you're there. And that's true for podcasting too. The more consistent you are, the more successful you'll be in your podcast. And before you know it, you'll go from having 1, 2, 3 episodes. All of a sudden you'll have like 105 and you'll go, what? How did that happen?
Yeah. So that's great advice. And when you talk about consistency, just as you'd mentioned before, having that message and what is that message? So having a real core message that you're offering and who you are, making that as part of it so people get to know that part of you. So what is the number one mistake that you see people make when podcasting?
I would say second.
I'm sure there's a couple of them.
Well, second, and not being consistent. I think, consistency is a big thing on the success side and also on the not so successful side. The next thing that I would say is really important is outsourcing the parts of it that are not for you. So I'll watch people that go through my course and they will, there's things that they're good at. Typically, if you want to do a podcast, it's because you're passionate about the topic and you love to interview and be in that conversation. It may not be your jam to go and do editing or to do recording or to level things, or it may not be your thing to write up show notes. So figuring out what your things are that you're so good at this, and I know you're really great at this, Tina, with your, one time in your business and really focusing on those things. You've been a great teacher of this in the world. And I think it's really important around your podcast. Pick those things you're great at. Pick those things that you're good at and outsource the rest, and that'll help you to be consistent over the long haul and stick with your show. Definitely.
Really stay focused on your strengths and hiring out those weaknesses. Love that. So, Debbie, what are some of the ways that you can monetize a podcast? And should you have high expectations in monetizing that at the beginning, or, what are your thoughts there?
You want to give yourself time because basically as you're monetizing your show, it's going to be growing with the number of listeners that you have. So the number of listens that you have, you can actually get sponsors. So with a podcast, very much like a radio show, we have the little breaks in the middle. Sometimes you'll have advertisers. You can sponsor out those spots on a podcast. These things, we call them bumpers in the podcasting world. So you can put one at the beginning, the middle, or the end, or anywhere in between. And I would recommend not to necessarily have one at the beginning. Let your listeners get warmed up before you advertise
before
to
you
them.
Put that bumper in.
Yes, before you bump them with the bumper. And then, so you can actually you can give those to sponsors. You can sell them the spots. So. You'll see people say, $25 per 1,000 listens. Some people don't even follow the numbers that are in the industry, and they'll say, okay, $4,000 for this bumper. I've heard up to $35,000 for spots on their show if it's really like a niche show. So you can do that. You can have affiliate products that relate to the topic of your show. So you can create relationships with companies and become a power partner of theirs, and then receive a commission for referrals to them. You can do your own products or services or shows. You basically would use those bumpers to market your own, offerings for your company.
Yes.
And then make money from that. And you can also use it to build your list very strategically. If you're wanting to build a following around your business, you can build your list that way. And that would be offering something that's free of value to your clients. They're your listeners that will then eventually become your clients.
Yes.
And go ahead and just use those bumpers. That's a great way to monetize your show.
Yes, got it. And the bumpers are great because you want to have that break anyways to kind of just break it and bring back in. So very important. So let's talk about music, Debbie, because I would imagine that it has an important part of your show, picking the right music. And how do you find the music and being able to use that.
Yeah, so one of the things that I hear a lot of from people who are starting out podcasting is, well, I'm not quite sure how to get music that I have the rights to.
Yes.
So you really need to make sure that you have the rights to the music that you're going to use on your show and that it's royalty free. And so there's a site that I use for my music for my show. It's called Melody Loops. And you can go on and you pay a one-time fee and you can download the music and then you put that in your show intro and outro. You can pick different types of music if you want to use maybe one in one part of your show or somewhere else. I use the same consistently throughout. And then there's also, you can go to Shutterstock, and if you click on their music section, I think it's shutterstock.com/music, they have some offerings there. But even if you just Google royalty-free music, and then purchase a loop that you will then create your bumper from.
Yeah. And it's important to tie that in, the music that you're picking out, obviously, that's going to connect with the listeners that are going to be listening to the message in the show that you're going to be, you know, having. I mean, I'm a warm and fuzzy person, but this is money hour. So there's no warm and fuzzy music going on in my show because it has to fit what I'm talking about. So, Debbie, you talked a little bit about guests and, you know, really setting up a plan and a system to make that easy. As you guys know, you go onto an online calendar and you just pick the show that works for you, and you can actually see the other guests that are going to be on and decide if that's a guest that's going to be one that you'd want to see that would be a fit for you. But what are some other tips in getting new guests and actually booking that calendar to make sure that you've got a full calendar?
Great question. So here's the thing that I do personally. It's a little like pro tip for you. When you have a guest, so when I started off my show, I picked people that I knew that that were in my own network, that had their own spiritual entrepreneur business that I thought was, you know, really a great message to put out. And then at the end of recording with your guest, you just say to them, you know, who do you know that is your number one or number two person, like your top one or two people that you think would be perfect for this show? And then you just wait and you let them tell you. And usually they have some great ideas for you. And they say, would you be willing to make an introduction? It's that simple.
Yes.
And then they will make the introduction typically through email. And if it's a good fit, those people, then you just send them your link, invite them to be on the show, and they get scheduled in. And then you want to make sure that you have enough, what we call in the can, right? So that it's sitting and ready to go for you. Enough recording so that you're not seeking one out that week, right?
Yes. Yeah. Don't want to be doing that.
No.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully you'll have 2 or 3 that are kind of set aside. You'll have pre-recorded and had edited. So,
yeah. And you know, one of the great things obviously about doing your own show is the credibility piece of it. But also being able to help people showcase their business. And another way with, you know, guests is allowing your guest to use that as an opportunity in getting connected as well with other business professionals. So powerful stuff. So as I wrap up my time here with you, Debbie, what would be one piece of advice that you'd want to leave with any of my listeners that are thinking about starting a podcast show?
I would just say do it. If you are feeling called inside of yourself to share a message with the world and that voice of your soul is pushing on you, it's time.
Yeah.
And there's no better time than right now to go out and create your own show. So
love that.
Do it. If you want help, I'm here to help you. So.
Yeah. Oh, and that's right, because she does have Debbie coaches. And so really you need to follow the lead of somebody that's doing it and doing it successfully. And, you know, I want to end with that as well, Debbie. Everybody has something that is a gift and something that's special to them, just as you point out in your bio. So you guys all have a podcast in you. It's just getting over the fear maybe of doing it. And then just like Debbie said, get out there and do it. So Debbie, thank you so much for joining me in studio. It's just a pleasure to have a conversation with you. And I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, Tina. I so appreciate you. You're amazing.
Thank you. Coming up next in the Money Hour, Morgan Oakes with 7 Oaks, creating your maximum impact. Keys to clarity, courageous living, and inspired action right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
Have you been stuck in the same rut for so long you can't even remember what passion felt like? Are you someone who has plenty of great ideas, but you never seem to take all the steps necessary to make them a reality? Are you constantly busy, yet never sure if it's generating the effect in your life or business that you've been hoping for? Are you afraid you haven't been living the life you are destined to live? Will you look back on your life and realize you weren't actually living your top life? Dr. Morgan Oakes with 7 Oaks LLC knows that his passion is helping people rediscover their passion and to powerfully step back into courageous, inspired living. As a certified high-performance coach and transformational speaker, Dr. Morgan blends ancient wisdom with current research and resources in a way that inspires you to get clear about what you love and empowers you to start living your top life today. Dr. Morgan has been empowering audiences and individuals for over a decade and is excited to share his integration of some of the world's most powerful tools for healing and personal transformation with you.
This is Dr. Morgan Oakes. To learn more about high-performance coaching or to hire me as your next transformational speaker, please visit drmorganoakes.com, or you can call me directly at 206-430-3245. Again, you can learn more at drmorganoakes.com or call me directly at 206-430-3245.
You bought it, but do you know how it works? We're talking Social Security, the biggest mystery in your financial blueprint. Now, move from mystery to mastery with the new book, Social Security, The Inside Story. Author Andy Landis has helped thousands of people just like you master Social Security.
Hi, this is Andy Landis. You can learn more at my website. Go to www.andylandis.biz. That's andylandis.biz.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 28th show. I provide the news on everything money, fresh information on market trends and conditions in our local economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. But to talk with the guests I have in studio, feel free to call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online at themoneyhour.com. And right now in studio, my second guest, I have Morgan Oakes with 7 Oaks, and he's going to talk about creating your maximum impact, keys to clarity, courageous living, and inspired action. Morgan, thank you for coming into studio. It's fun to have both you and Debbie here, since we're all friends, right?
Yeah, my pleasure. It's great to be in here and get to play on the show with you today.
Wonderful. And a little bit about Morgan. Dr. Morgan Oakes is a transformational keynote speaker, high-performance coach, and a Seattle chiropractor whose passion is empowering people in every facet of their life. Dr. Morgan's gift is inspiring audience and clients to develop and trust their intuition, integrate their life wisdom, and cultivate the courage to take inspired action. The winding life path of its magical engineering, firefighting, stand-up comedian doctor will entertain and enlighten you in a way that inspires you to get clear about what you love and empowers you to start living it today. And I just, another beautiful person, Morgan, you are, and your message that you're sharing with the world is empowering in your story, and just really, really happy to have you here. So we're talking about creating your maximum impact, keys to eliminating clarity, courageous living, inspired actioning. So what does creating maximum impact mean to you, Morgan?
Yeah, for me, I think that all of us have something that we're really wanting to do, experience, create, and maximum impact is that description of living full out. Whether it's, creating money through investments, through business, if it's about relationship, if it's about our health, all of those things, how can we really, that saying, let's milk this for all it's worth. Let's really get the most out of it.
And I love that. Let's live it full out. Great. So tell me a little bit more about the keys and steps to creating maximum impact.
Yeah, for me, I've really felt like it's boiled down to getting really clear about what you're wanting to do. It's about, courageous living is really about, taking that step from where you are to where you're wanting to be. And then the inspired action is following through. And another way I've broken it down is it's really simply listen and then step. And I think we'll get sidetracked when we're either listening and we know exactly what we should be doing and we're not doing that. And get us into trouble.
Yeah.
Or if we're taking a ton of action and we're never actually stopping to see if it's the right action moving us in the direction we're wanting to go.
Makes so much sense. And I really love being that courageous, your courageous person, your courageous self, but you've got to take action in order to have that courageous person come out and be able to share your gifts with the world. So how did this all come together for you, Morgan?
It's been a process that's just come together through my life. I started off as a mechanical engineer. I transitioned into chiropractic. I added in, physical therapy. And then I started doing other work. And each time it's been a process of I would start hearing that internal call that I should be doing something, even deeper and more important with my life. And then it was, how do I bridge over and start stepping into that life? So it's just something that's kind of developed over time with practice in my own life.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, Morgan, and helping my listeners with defining clarity. And how do you recommend someone can find that in their own lives?
Yeah, we all have it.
Yes.
Very simply, like, we all have it. We know those times when it's sunny out, and yet we have that little ding that we should grab the umbrella, and we don't. And later on in the day, we remember that we ignored that. Or we get that sense that somebody's staring at us, and we turn around and we make eye contact with them. There's all these little things, and especially in business, like gut instinct.
Yes.
I just knew. It wasn't the numbers, but I just knew. And so all of us have this. And I think in the current world that we live in right now, the biggest advice I can give for finding clarity is to slow down.
Yeah.
Bring in some white space, not always be, reading, listening in, conversation or connection. Like, we need white space for those pieces to be able to come through.
Yeah, and it's when you get that gut instinct or intuition, or I call it my navigation system, it actually comes in really quick and it goes away really quick. So it's embracing it right in that moment, because otherwise it's just flashed by you. So it's, really recognizing that and being able to embrace it to see where it takes you, right?
Yeah, I've actually started to treat it like a relationship where, in a relationship, you have an opportunity for that conversation. You have an opportunity for that experience. And if you don't take advantage of it, then, like you said, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's a muscle.
What a beautiful thing to have a relationship with ourselves. I mean, that's the best person to have it with, right?
Absolutely.
I love that. I'm going to start thinking about that. Just having a relationship with myself. That's beautiful. So, Morgan, why is it important to my listener to pay attention to their intuition?
Not everything that is important in life, whether it comes to money, finances, business, relationship, health, not all of it's data, not all of it's something that you learned in school, not all of it's something that you pick up in a business journal. At a certain point, we need to implement, and that's where I think intuition comes in. It brings in that extra information that goes, okay, here's everything I consciously know, here's the situation around me, and I think intuition helps us integrate into a life that doesn't always fit the template.
Yeah, makes it a lot of times.
Yeah.
It does, yes. And do you think it's because it's just the protection that we have for ourselves that sometimes it seems like it's not the right move, and that's why the intuition is so important, because you could be missing out on so much.
Yeah. And it's a muscle. It gets stronger with developing it and building that trust, just like anything else in life.
Yeah, makes sense. So what does being courageous mean in respect to creating maximum impact?
Devi actually covered it earlier. It's consistency.
Yes.
Courageousness it's not one big thing you did 5 or 10 years ago that you're still riding the wave from. It was that, and then it's all the little steps that you're taking daily and weekly moving forward.
Yeah.
And courageous living is each time that little voice, that intuition, that hint, that thing that you suspect might work. Courageous is stepping into it and actually taking action to see how it turns out.
Yeah, being your unique self instead of just being like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So why do you say that your third key or step to maximize impact is inspired action? And can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. A lot of people, I think, have ideas of what they should do. And many times when I talk to them, the piece that's missing is action.
Yeah.
It's like being on the outside of a city and continuing to ask for directions, but never walking that first block into the city. Like, you have to do that before the next set of directions makes sense. And for the definition of inspiration, it's something extraordinary, almost as if it came from outside of you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's where I think our really big breakthroughs, the big business deals, when you go back to those things that we hear about that are so impressive in our life or somebody else's, it was something inspired that they took action on.
Yeah, and you think it's important, too, to really recognize where your ideas are coming from, because, I like to go back and go, wow, I had no idea that was going to connect anywhere, let alone to connect to that. And so it really helps to kind of pull the whole picture together of our journey through life.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, there's this artist that will perform at like big sporting events, and he throws paint at a canvas to like heavy metal or like rock music.
Oh, wow.
And at the end, you're like, I have no idea what he created. And he turns it upside down, and it's like Jimi Hendrix.
No way.
And I think that's life. Like life is throwing all these globs of paint. And if we keep listening and participate, at the end, it can be something really beautiful. We may not see it getting created in the time, in the moment.
Love that.
Yeah.
So Morgan, when your suggestions are followed, what can you expect to happen?
Yeah. Your
Amazing
top life.
Stuff, right?
Your top life, yeah. And there's never a guarantee that it's easy. Sometimes we need to have that difficult conversation with a business partner, or we need to make a difficult decision in an investment, or there's something that's, at a stagnation point in our relationship or our health. What this is going to guarantee is the possibility of living your top life.
Yeah.
And the things that you're not taking action on, based on a lack of courageous living, they're causing pain. It's just a small pain that you're maybe not noticing.
Yeah, small pain, small gain. Big pain, big gain. So you've got to really put yourself out there. You've got to feel that pain to grow, because I believe that pain, the bigger it is, the bigger the strength that it gives us. And that's where powerful things start happening for us. So what would be the best next step if somebody's listening and is just really getting inspired by my time here with you, Morgan, and they're like, wow, that sounds so beautiful and I want that for myself. What do I do? What's that first step?
Yeah, if we were to pick one thing from each of these areas, everybody already knows the answer. What is the thing you're clear on that you haven't taken action on? What's the thing that would be the most courageous that you could do as a next best step? What is your next best action? And those all three might be the same thing, or when they're asked in those different ways, it might be three separate things. Be listening, quiet down your day, allow open space for clarity to come in.
Yeah.
And then courage a lot of time can be supported through a mentor, a coach, somebody to help hold you accountable, and then take action.
Yeah. Okay. And let's talk about what might get in someone's way and what should they be aware of when they're going through this journey of discovery.
Yeah. The things that can get in the way are, some of the things that a lot of us will complain about. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. Yeah. Or you can really go into expert mode where you're like, oh, I know everything. And you don't even hear the solution. You're like, oh, I got this. And so I think part of it is stepping back into that student role and reaching out to go, what haven't I done? Or what could I do better? Yeah. It's really coming back into that student role and being curious about how you could really take it up to the next notch.
Yeah, and I love that. I always talk in the student role is really be cautious and careful of who you're observing, because you always want to make sure that you're observing people that are at a higher level than you are, because the majority is what it is. They're the majority. Yeah. And if you want what the majority are getting, then follow what the majority are doing. If you want something special and you want to bring your uniqueness, because we're all special, as Debbie said, and we're having a conversation now that we all have a gift and we have a contribution to give to the world, but only the minority are the ones that are really engaging at the high level, not because they don't want to, because they don't have the tools and all those things that, you listed off. And so it's so important. And I'm just so connected with what you're doing with people and how you're helping them in this area, Morgan. So where can my listeners get more information if they want to connect with you and learn a little bit more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I'd love to be a resource. The best place to reach out to me is at drmorganoakes.com. If you're interested in learning more about coaching, there's a link there. If you're looking for somebody to support your next event for your business or organization, my speaking information's there. And a lot of times I have people reach out going, I don't know who I need, but I know I need something. Yeah. And many times with that conversation, I can supply another resource that'll be a best fit for empowering that person in the best way possible. That's what you are, a connector, Morgan, one of your other gifts as well. Yeah. Well, Morgan, thank you so much for coming into studio. It was a pleasure having you here for the first time, and look forward to having you come back and share with my listeners again. Yeah, thank you. It's been great to be here, and looking forward to that next time. And if you're listening today, I mean, I got two amazing guests that we started out with here, and really embrace who you are and take some time, as Morgan suggested, to really find out the person you are, what you're meant to contribute to this world, and then find that message and get excited to be that person, and then start your podcast so you can share your message with the world. It's just it's a beautiful day here on the Money Hour. So Morgan, thanks again.
Coming up next in the Money Hour, is franchising a good fit for you? I have Mark Petticord with Success Mentor right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
Do you have a message or mission that you want to share with the world, but you just don't know how to get it on a global scale? If so, podcasting could be the perfect solution for you. Podcasting can help you easily establish yourself as an expert in your field. Gain access to leaders in your industry that can help you to scale your business. Develop a deep and loyal relationship with your ideal clients. Share your message with the world with just the push of a button and attract quality leads into your business. Devi Aday created the Podcast on Purpose Online Academy to help you go from show idea to syndicated podcasts in as little as 6 short weeks. Devi's Podcast on Purpose Online Academy walks you through every step of the process, from choosing your title, format, and artwork, all the way through to syndication on all major podcasting platforms. If you're looking to create your own global delivery system for your most important messaging with your most loyal listeners and potential clients, podcasting is for you. To learn more about how you can create your own syndicated podcast around your brand and message, visit podcastonpurpose.com. It is your time to podcast on purpose.
Hi, this is Devi Adea, and I would love to support you with your soul-based business and helping you get your message out into the world. If you'd like to work with me, I'd love to work with you. Go ahead and contact me at deviadea.com. You can find me there. Or if you're interested in creating a podcast specifically, go to podcastonpurpose.com. And as always, I would love to share my week with you at spiritualentrepreneur.com. It's your time to podcast on purpose.
Have you ever considered investing in a franchise? Oftentimes when people hear the term franchising, the first thing that comes to mind is hamburgers and sub sandwiches. Not anymore. There are literally hundreds of franchise concepts to choose from. But with so many choices, finding that dream business can be an overwhelming task. But you're not alone. Why not seek the services of a certified franchise broker? Mark Petticord, your trusted advisor, knows franchising like the back of his hand. And with his finger on the pulse, he will identify the right business concepts for you. This is not a random hit or miss discovery process. Mark will use a science-based, market-validated, franchise-specific entrepreneurial profiling system. Go to franchisebusinessinsider.com and download your free franchise business report. And for a limited time, access your free science-based entrepreneurial assessment, a $99 value. That's franchisebusinessinsider.com.
Hey, this is Mark Petticord with Success Mentor Systems. If you'd like to get a hold of me, just call me at 206-915-2649 or visit franchisebusinessinsider.com.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Well, welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 28th show. Bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events in our local economy that can affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Right now in studio, I have Mark Petticord with Success Mentor Systems, and we're going to talk about if franchising might be a good fit for you. Mark, thank you for coming back in studio.
Thanks for having me.
And a little bit about Mark. Mark is owner of Success Mentor Systems, where he teaches, trains, and coaches on leadership and business development. As a franchise broker and business development professional, Mark provides his service and qualified clients desiring to get started in their own business. As your consultant and advocate, he will help you hone in and focus and discover exactly what you need in a business investment and help you compare several franchise concepts. I have to say, Mark, that you're the first one in studio that I've had on this, which is always nice. The Money Hour is about making money, having a better quality of life, and enjoying what you do for business and how you make your money definitely helps to have a better quality of life. So I'm interested for our conversation. Again, we're going to be talking about franchising and whether it's a good fit for you. So when I think of franchising, I think of McDonald's or Subway, and I know there's a lot more. So what's happening in the franchise industry?
Well, Tina, I think of that too. I mean, everybody thinks of Colonel Sanders or Subway,
and it's hard to get into McDonald's.
Yes, for sure. But there are literally thousands of franchise concepts now. It's become quite popular, and there's hundreds of emerging brands coming out each year. Everything from ATMs, vending, education products, tutoring, food, of course, food services. Most people think that's all that franchising is, but staffing, real estate, property management, automotive. I mean, the list goes on. There's just a huge amount of opportunity out there for people who want to go into business for themselves, but work from a proven system, and that's one of the big advantages of franchising.
So kind of like when you go to a recruiter to place you in the best employment opportunity that you're looking for, you can go to somebody like you if you're thinking of getting into franchising. So let's talk about, what is a franchise broker?
Yeah, it's a lot like a real estate agent in a sense. A real estate agent has an MLS listing, and there's thousands of homes. And I mean, think of what you would have to go through as a buyer to go find the perfect home.
Yes.
I mean, some people think they can do that, but really it's more effective to use a person who has a relationship with the seller, with the buyer, and can find the best deal for you. And the same thing with a franchise broker. We work with several concepts, we call them business concepts. And so I have relationships with a lot of companies, and so I try to find the right candidates for them. But I'm also that candidate's advocate. I'm really on their side to try to help them find the best deal, because if you approach a franchise directly, they're going to sell you their franchise. Of course, they're going to qualify you, so it's going to be, but it just gives a candidate a lot more options, and we have systems and processes in place to help them determine what's the right business for them.
Makes sense. So we just talked about the importance of why you would use a real estate agent, regardless of the fact that we're in this, crazy market. So same thing. And, why would you not go directly to the franchise versus hiring an expert like yourself?
Yes, and some people do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think if you're really uncertain of what you want, or maybe you don't have a clue of what's out there, some people approach me and they'll say, well, I just wanted to get into some food service. And I think, well, did you know there's a lot of different options? Why don't we determine what a better fit or something that might work better with your lifestyle? Or, So there's a lot of opportunities out there, a lot of options.
So what about the cost? If I was thinking of being a franchise owner and I went to a franchise broker, how much would I pay you?
Well, the beauty of what we do, and like a realtor, the commission is paid by the seller. And so same thing with this. And a franchisor, there's franchisees, the people that are looking for businesses. And they're the franchisors, and they're the people that have the business concepts. And so they'll pay me a commission to find them a candidate for their business. And there's still a process that they have to take my candidates through. They don't just accept everybody. It's it's got to be a win-win situation.
Okay.
And so, So we have some great tools that we give people access to. And in order to find that perfect franchise, actually, I have a free report that you can start with. It's at franchisebusinessinsider.com. It's a 32-page guide, and that's a good place to start. But we also, what I'm doing is, for this special audience out here, I'm providing a really, really effective tool. And it's basically a business builder profile. It's not a personality test. It's a scientific profiling system that we've come up with. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes to complete. But we've had over 85,000 franchisees go through this program for this particular profiling system over the last 20 years. And it's extremely active. And what it does is it predicts business success. It helps people determine what kind of business would best match them. So what we do, there's no hit or miss thing going on here. It's very scientific. It's very measured. We have systems and processes to really help that person determine their entrepreneurial acumen, their profile, what they could expect in a business, what business would match them, because a lot of our franchisors use the same profile.
Love it.
And so they're looking for that perfect candidate.
So how do my listeners get to that?
It's www.franchisebusinessinsider.com.
Perfect. And I've we all know we have strengths and weaknesses, and we have areas that are better fit and suited for us. So that sounds like a great way to start out. So Mark, what kind of investment do you need to make to get into a franchise?
Well, typically it's based on the type of franchise, obviously.
Yes.
We have brick and mortars that are going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Of course, we have SBA loans, and you can even use your 401k. There's ways to do that. I work with a team of people that can do financing and so forth. Smaller franchises, cost a lot less. We're looking for people, that have a 700 plus credit rating.
Okay.
Typically, that's what's going to be, accepted. We're looking for people on the smaller concepts to have at least $50,000 liquid. And so that's really important. And it's going to be all across the board. And that's a discussion that we have when we determine what it is that they're looking for.
Of course. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So does the franchise drive much business through advertising?
Oh, absolutely. And again, that depends on the concept and the brand. If it's got brand name recognition, like, for instance, Fast Signs, they're pretty well-known printing franchise. And so they do national advertising, they do television ads and things like that. Other franchises that are smaller may not. But we always encourage people to have about a 2 to 3% advertising budget. And so they usually put together programs to help you do that.
Got it. What's the best part of owning a franchise, Mark?
Well, I think
I'm visualizing exactly what the benefits are, but
yeah. Well, I think you would as an entrepreneur. I think people are looking for a record of success. They want to see something that's proven. It's as an artist or as a writer, as you know, it's very difficult to start with a blank sheet of paper.
Yes,
it's very difficult. It's a challenge, and so you look for strong brands. Training programs, ongoing operational support, marketing assistance, assistance with real estate, just helping people find properties and things to put their businesses in, purchasing power, bulk discounts, and all the things that come. And of course, one of the big ones is just avoiding risk. People don't want to risk a lot, and of course, there's a risk in everything.
Well, of course, and the bigger you go, the bigger risk that there is. That's life.
Yeah. So those are some of the benefits of owning a franchise, having those type of.
So I know you've got the what you offer to our listeners to go through and find out what type of franchise would best suit you based on the business and your strengths and weaknesses. But how do you know if you're actually would be good to be a franchise owner?
Well, again, that's part of what we do in terms of the assessment. Now, we take you through. You're going to get educated on franchises. Most people don't really understand all the variables and all the dynamics, and so that's my job, is to help you to learn that. But then taking you through that business builder profile, that's really going to determine what it is that what you're looking for, help match you with the best business possible.
So for new franchise owners, what is the most common right now, Mark, that you see? Is there where a majority are getting into the food service, or there really isn't a common?
No, I mean, it's all across the board. There's just so many options. Most people think that food is kind of where to go, but there's just so many options and ideas and concepts out there. So it would be hard to say which is most popular right now.
So if somebody's listening and it triggers a little bit of interest, what would be the next step that they would take? Well,
we have a 4-step process. Again, this is very scientific. We take you through the process. And if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to make a commitment to that process.
Well, I hope you are. If you want to be a franchise owner, you better be willing to do a little bit of work.
Well, and most people, they just think you lay down the money, but we're going to save you time, we're going to save you money, and we're going to get you the best possible business that fits you. And we do that through pre-screening. First of all, you're going to read the Insider's Guide. You're going to take the profile test. We're going to have a detailed franchise intake form to really get to know you and what you want. And based on your profile and assessment, we're going to do a follow-up call, and we're going to talk about some concepts that we think match you pretty well, and you can agree or disagree, and we'll go back to the drawing board or whatever we need to do. Then there's discovery. And what I do is I actually coordinate calls, 3-way calls with the franchisors and help you talk with them.
It's kind of like shopping for a home. You're going in and looking at these different, or talking with the different opportunities.
That's right. And I hold your hand all the way through the process. So you're not alone. You have me. And of course, once you find a great franchisor, they're going to hold your hand. They're going to take really good care of you, and they're going to make sure that you succeed. And then the launch, you get started. We get your financing in order. And at that point, I point you in the right directions. I'm kind of out of the picture, and you're more into the franchisor's hands.
Like a real estate agent, point you to their lender.
But I'm I'm there. I'm a business coach too, and you know, I help people overcome their obstacles and fears and all the things that we do as coaches. So so it's a real great combination of being a broker and being able to coach people and help people.
So we've already mentioned the cost is no cost because the franchise that you're purchasing is going to pay your services. Is there any minimum requirement for them to get the opportunity to sit down and go through this whole process just to explore whether or not, or there is no financial commitment?
Well, what I look for is I just want to make sure that they have some sort of investment.
Resources.
You know, if they want to go out and buy a McDonald's. Of course, I wouldn't represent a McDonald's. They don't use franchise brokers, but
when it's almost impossible to get in a franchise McDonald's. Yeah, very difficult.
They just have to have the funding, and so I always say $100,000 to $50,000 to $100,000 of liquidity.
Yep. Okay.
Really, just so I know they're a serious candidate.
Makes sense. Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming back in studio. It was a great, new, interesting topic, and look forward to bringing you back in.
Thank you, Tina.
This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I look forward to talking money with you again next Saturday, right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC. The views expressed by the speakers on the preceding program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC.